In this video, we're going to answer one very simple question. Is William Ruto being unfairly targeted by the West media because of his recent affiliation with China? Is Trump so mad that he had to influence the West media to come after Ruto?
Just watched Blood Parliament, the documentary that was released by Africa BBCI. I have issues why they release at this point. One, is it because our president was in China and perhaps maybe has decided to look to the West, to the East, that is China, because he made deals with China a week ago, that now the BBC has decided we are hitting back?
Okay, there's this BBC documentary that's supposed to air about the June protests, okay? And I'm calling bullshit. It's basically a psyop, okay? BBC is like a very media outfit, okay? It's just in many countries, but it's still like a very media outfit in how it operates, in how it works, okay? You need to remember that BBC is one of the media houses that denied that there was a massacre in Githurai. There is absolutely zero, nunge, there's absolutely zero that BBC is coming to tell us that is new. Okay, there's nothing we don't know. We already know what happened on June 25th and the days after and even the days before. Okay, you need to understand that. There's nothing new they're telling us. What matters most isn't the dissemination of information. Okay, it's the intent.
Whenever you see these things, family, you have to ask yourself, why now? And why is the colonizer trying to tell our story and hijack our narrative?
Let me tell you for free. BBC is one useless media station, just here to sell all kinds of agendas. And if you've seen this documentary they posted early in the night, I had to wait up to around 3 a.m. so that I can be able to, so that I can be one of the first people. And I watched it, and it's kind of very, very convenient that they're actually posting this a month before they, we talk about the finance bill in Kenya, because you're going to expect a finance bill this year.
Documentary coming out just before the release of the finance bill 2025 is no coincidence.
We'd be naive, first of all, to assume it's a coincidence that after Muigai tells us to go into the streets like Uyangina or Jomo, or after Jambazi has gone and talked ill about the West so that he can get loans to loot, at now BBC conveniently has a documentary to release, okay, almost a year later. Okay, if they don't do this documentary, they could have released it in July. Okay, but what you need to understand, I've said, is the intent. And the intent of this BBC documentary, I can tell without even seeing it, is that it's to be defeatist and lethargic. It's to induce lethargy into the movement, kuchoka, kufeel this shit feels repetitive, okay? And it's defeatist in that most of the imagery or the video that you will see, it will just be people shot in the streets. They'll maybe talk about Kware murders, okay? But it will definitely have zero. The revolutionary tone will be zero. It won't have any revolutionary tone. Okay, they won't talk about the mobilization that went into it. They won't, and they'll highlight it to kidogo, they organized on social media as they move on, okay? But they'll show dead bodies, they'll show people getting shot in the streets. That is what you should expect to see. And that is defeatist. That is the intent behind it. They won't name or shame anyone. If you're expecting to get a catharsis, if you're expecting to hear Jambazi being mentioned, because unless they mention Jambazi, Kipchirchir, Arab Samoei, Ruto ordered kids to be murdered, the rest is pointless.
It looks like the puppet master is done with the puppet. They're done with Nabi. Even if you look at how he was not even invited to the Pope's funeral, he took himself there. He did not meet any of the major presidents that was there. He was just floating around looking lost.
BBC is so shameless. They've gone as far as showing videos of one of the mothers of the victims of extrajudicial killings. Wanamuuliza like, oh, what do you think? How are you feeling? She's burying her kid. How do you think she's feeling? Okay, but that was the intent of the documentary. That was the intent. Okay, defeatist. Just because someone has highlighted your story doesn't mean they're empathetic. You need to understand that. You need to differentiate these things. And you need to see when you're being manipulated. Okay? Like now, on Twitter, the hijab bandit is tweeting, oh, sijui gosh, sijui the military killed people. And I'm seeing Miguna tweeting that he had actually said that the military is complicit, and Boni and the hijab bandit were there vehemently denying, oh, show us proof, where are the bodies, sijui nini, you know, that kind of crap. Now she's suddenly become very clever. Mnaonesha, gosh, people died, people were buried, okay, but they barely showed the wins. Just like a little clip of Jambazi conceding. They didn't talk about the build-up, okay? It's just the laws. I'm aware the state unleashed terror. And you need to understand, they're also fear-mongering. You know, gosh, no one was arrested, no one was held to account. What is, they're fear-mongering. They're telling you, you know what? This can actually happen again.
The British Ninis, they know that some kind of revolution and transformation and transition is happening in Kenya, and they want to hijack the process. That's why they've been pushing the Maragas, the Matiangis, the Tatas of this world, trying to say, yeah, this is the one, this is the one, this is the one. And now coming out and doing this documentary where they try and tell our story and, oh, look what happened, is their attempt to try and not only hijack the narrative, but lie to us and Gen Z and Kenyans in general that they stand with us in our fight for justice. Don't fall for the BS.
And I have to agree with Dusty Sahara on one point, that they're trying to capitalize on our collective anger, because that is what is happening. People are angry, rightfully so. I'll show you Kenyan media as of today to drive the point home. Remember, part of government's responsibility is to offer security. So if we let our anger override our common sense, we might end up creating a scenario where the government becomes necessary. And we've already seen through the documentary and through being eyewitnesses in this country. From the facts, we can surmise that all arms of government and governmental agencies are under the executive. And so is everyone within the political class, because that's where the money is concentrated.
Could it be a world war against powers, and then we Kenyans imagine it's about the people?
When they're pretending to, they've named some military guys, some nobody who nobody even knows, okay? They didn't even mention Murangiri, the one who killed Rex Masai, okay? But now they're pretending they've named some anonymous military man who we know is never gonna be found and nothing is ever gonna happen to him. The reason for that is to pacify, okay? They didn't mention Jambazi, they didn't mention Kindiki, they didn't mention Bungei, they didn't mention anyone. They just, they literally just put the images we uploaded on Twitter almost a year ago. They uploaded it into a video, plastered their BBC logo there, and pretended it's a documentary. That was that was rubbish. They didn't tell us anything. In fact, if there's something that they forgot to tell us about the military, is that the hundreds of kids that Jambazi ordered to be massacred in Githurai were burnt in military incinerators, hapo Kahawa barracks. Understand this. No one is against it highlighting the atrocities of June 25th, selectively highlighting the atrocities of June 25th. What we are against is our stories being told by a foreign outfit. Okay, and the fact that it has gotten so much legitimacy because it's been told by BBC, whoa, we are an international very media outlet. The fact that it has gotten so much legitimacy just because of that, that's the real red flag.
Out of 10, how much do I rate it? Okay, or how do I rate it out of 10? I'll give it a 4, below average, because nishaiona documentary za BBC na zinakuwaga so much detailed than this. Sijui walirush ama hawakupata enough information, ama I don't know what they did.
There's nothing on that documentary that isn't in the public domain. We've been saying it for months. They didn't even mention Githurai. They couldn't say that we were massacred and dumped in quarries. You see, they're even selectively picking up, for the wow factor, guy. Wow, Kai, KDF was shot. Were you surprised? They burnt hundreds of children in incinerators. What? Why are you Mbono unafurahishwa na to small acts? This is not a movie. This is not Cartoon Network. Stop. Look at the bigger picture. Okay? Our stories do not become real because Muzungus have highlighted them. Okay? And the fact that imepoa so much, that's where the problem is. We are not allowed to tell our own stories, and there's a reason for that. Okay? There's a reason why our stories get more legitimacy from the West or from outside.
We said we'd never forget, but we always forget. And that is our problem, because at the end of the day, this is a domestic issue, meaning we need our institutions independent and working so that we can prosecute the people who are involved. So the question is, what have we been doing to fix the institutions? What are we doing to fight corruption? What are we doing to make sure the service delivery? And it all starts with the conversations that we choose to have. Either way, those are my 2 cents.